back with comedian Davie Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So, fucking day off today. I'm going in for a silica test, get my lungs checked, see if these tunnels have fucked me. I thought it was at 9, but it's actually at 3, so I didn't go to work, but I probably could have. Who cares? Feels good to take a 3-day weekend, and it feels better to take a 4-day or a 5-day or a 6-day weekend. AI and universal basic income could not come quick enough for me. Put me in a fucking cage. Universal basic income sounds good, but not going to end up very good. Here is your stipend for the month. It's very communist. And then a black market will pop up so you can buy fucking protein powder because your stipend doesn't fucking cover it. And then the mafia takes control of the whole fucking protein industry, and then they leverage the control they have of that into the darts. That's what's happened here in Australia. The government here, and it's been so fucking beautiful to watch. It's a real world example of what happens when you excessively tax something, when you try and blunt something out with regulation and taxes. So cigarette prices in Australia are absolutely out of fucking control. If you buy a government supported warning labeled fucking pack of cigarettes over the counter, it's like $60 for 20 now. It's an absolute fucking rort. But the thing is, no one even buys those anymore because the under-the-counter black market for cigarettes is fucking huge. No one smokes fucking legit ciggies anymore. I haven't seen someone smoking a pack of cigarettes with a warning label on it for at least a year. Like, you know, the ones with the dead babies and the eyeball fucking looking at you? They're just not around anymore because you go to any tobacconist or any shop, except for like the proper corporations, and you go, can I get some cheap ciggies? And they're like, yeah. And you go, how much? And they go, $12 if you pay cash and $15 if you pay card. And then they give you a packet of Marlboro, which would cost $60 to $65 if you were paying the tax, or just $15 straight dollars. So the $15, they've gone back to like early 2000 prices. People are darting more than ever because it's so fucking cheap now. They've banned vapes, they've taxed the ciggies, and now the cigarettes are cheaper than they've ever been for fucking years. And then the government will come out and say, see, the taxes are working. Cigarette sales have gone down 80%. But what they're not telling you is cigarette sales are the same as they've always been, except maybe higher because they're so fucking cheap on the black market now. So there would have been like a tipping point on the price of cigarettes. If they'd kept it like 35, I reckon. Nah, even that was a little bit too expensive. If they'd kept it around 30 for a pack of 20s, people would have just fucking taken the hit and paid for it. They did. It wasn't until like the last 2 years that people are like, nah, this is out of control. I'm just buying cheap ciggies. And now in the city, there is so many fucking tobacconists just selling under the counter black market fucking ciggies, and the bikies are getting involved. There's fucking bombings and arson attacks. It's beautiful to watch. But since I've been reading a lot about Russia under Lenin and Stalin, which wasn't even communism, by the way, they were both basically autocratic dictators working under the banner of communism or socialism or whatever. It was none of those things. It was the same as any other dictatorship. Just brutal thugs. Collectivization was basically just mass murder. That's what it was. So yeah, universal basic income, basically just rationing. Someone's in control of the money and they give you a stipend. That's not gonna work long term. And then you say some shit about the government or whatever, and then they cut you off. Or even worse, they make you work for your fucking stipend. So then it's not even fucking universal basic income. They're not just giving you money. You have to work for the stipend. And you're like, holy fuck, this is worse. I am actually a slave now. It's a very slippery slope. Anyway, I got a day off work today, which was great. No one even called me either. I get the feeling I could just not turn up to work and it probably wouldn't make much of a difference. It'd make a difference to my bank balance, but to the actual functioning of the company, probably not. Anyway, we won't tell that to the bosses. Let's get on with this week's Ask Boyle, because it's Ask Boyle time. Now, if you have a question you would like answered by one of the greatest minds of the generation, comedian, philosopher, waterproofer, economist, crane operator, dogman, used to work at a bank, Garbo, fucking all of it. I've done it all. Every piece of shit job you can imagine. Then head to my website, boylecomedy.com. While you're there, while you're on my website, write me in a story for Fucked Up Fridays. We've had last fucking Friday. That was an absolute banger, all-timer. Try and fucking top it. Get your stories in, boylecomedy.com. Now, let's get to this week's Ask Boyle. So this week's Ask Boyle was sent in by my man fucking Davie over there in the USA. And here's his question. I know you're a slack cunt with replying as well as posting up content on Patreon. Hey, keep that fucking low. Keep that low profile, bros. Nonetheless, I come with questions. Would you rate / go back to Etnikas? When he says Etnikas, he means the place where I did ayahuasca at the start of last year. I see they're cheaper than most in true Boyle Jew fashion. Hey. Just because my grandma came from a very, very Jewish town in Poland around World War II doesn't mean I'm a Jew. Although I have been fucking tempted to do one of those blood tests where they fucking test what you are, because there is a possibility there might be some Jew in there somewhere. There could have been some mixing. Not on the Irish side, just the Polish side. True Jew fashion. I'm going off to try repair the damage of a lifelong retardation next month for 6 weeks. NZ, LA, Cuba, Brazil. Hold on, fucking Davie's not from Davie's not from the US. He's from New Zealand. Someone else sent me a message saying, oh no, that was on Instagram, yeah. Someone from Colorado sent me a message recently, and I thought it was them, but it wasn't. NZ, LA, Cuba, Brazil, Peru, Colombia, Costa Rica, LA, New Zealand. This trip is based solely around trying to unfuck myself at a couple of Aya retreats in Peru and Costa Rica, as well as visiting a couple of old friends. Any advice, tips, or recommendations would be greatly appreciated. I literally only know one other person who's been to a retreat. Cheers, cunt. Davie Crockett, you have come to the right place. So you say that you are solely going to unfuck yourself, but you've managed to squeeze in Cuba, Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, LA. This sounds like a party fucking trip. This sounds like, all right, I'll do a fucking ayahuasca on the back end of getting completely fucked up for 5 weeks. I don't know if your intentions are entirely pure, but I'll take your word for it. So the reason I went to Etnika's was because a listener of the podcast, she sent me a message saying she's been doing a ton of research and she's going to go do a retreat in Peru. And she sent me the link and I was like, I can't be fucked doing any research. And she seems like a very trustworthy chick. So I'm going to trust her research. And I looked at it. I went to the website, looked at it for 1 second and then booked it. And this one was so good. Like, it's in such a beautiful fucking location in the Sacred Valley in Peru, just outside of Cuzco. The accommodation is great. The food is unbelievable. I had a fucking great time. It was the best. They had a doctor and a psychologist there. They had all the shamans and all that sort of stuff. It is more a rehab type vibe to it, like a place where white people go to fix themselves, than a traditional fucking authentic ayahuasca experience. Although they're almost impossible to fucking source out now anyway. But that's what I wanted because I've got 2 fucking kids now. And even though I almost died in the ceremony, I would have preferred not to die in the actual ceremony. So I wanted some doctors there just in case. And for me, it was fucking unbelievable. The time I went when I was younger, that was a little bit sketchier. That was, like I've said a few times, that was just some guy with a feather who called himself a shaman. This was a lot more relaxing. Even though the experience was a million times more intense than the first one, the whole vibe of the situation was completely different. And you didn't have to stress about anything outside what was happening, which is great. So I would definitely go back to something like that. A listener of the podcast also went somewhere recently in Colombia. He has his own Adam Durges. He has the podcast, The Army of Great Men, but he went to a place called the Native Guides, which is much more like traditional than the one I went to, which I would probably go to that one next if I was going to do it again. I don't need to do it again for a little while though. I'm good at the moment. The thing I would tell you though is I would take it seriously. I would do the fasting and I would do all the intention shit before you go and really set an intention and think about the things you want to fucking heal, because it definitely does direct the experience. And also I would take very seriously the integration phase afterwards, which lasts for like 1 to 3 months, where you've got to implement the things that you learnt on the ayahuasca or in the ceremony, because it gives you a lot of leads, but the tendency is to ignore everything afterwards. But it will show you the door. You have to walk through it though. It can't walk through it for you. So the integration phase afterwards is very important. I would just take it very seriously. It doesn't really matter that much where you go. Well, it does actually. The medicine needs to be prepared properly. The intention needs to be there. You don't want to go to some bulk commercialized piece of shit thing, even though the one I went to was semi that, but they were still small circles and shit like that. I would do some research, find out what you want to do. I was very happy with my experience at Nika's, and I would fucking recommend it highly. Anyway, good luck with that. Don't party too hard beforehand as well. That'll do for today, and I'll see you the fuck later.